Hello there, and welcome to the show, and today I'm going to be talking about WWE NXT No Mercy. This show took place on September 27th, live from the FTL War Memorial in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Had an attendance of over 1,300 people. Let's talk about the show. The show kicked off with Javon Evans versus Josh Briggs, and I thought this was a pretty good opening match. The power versus speed dynamic worked pretty well. In this match, there was an impressive series by Javon Evans, where he hit a German suplex, super kick, clothesline, and 2 spinning heel kicks. The highlight of this match, in my opinion, was Josh Briggs. He went for a super choke slam, but Javon Evans was able to rotate and avoid it. That to me was the best part of this match. Briggs was able to eventually hit a choke slam for 2. Closing sequence of this match, Javon Evans hit a cutter, followed that up with a super cutter for the win. I thought this was a pretty good opening match, and to me this was one of the better matches of the night. Following that match, we had Sol Ruca versus Jada Parker for the WWE Women's Speed Championship. I am not a fan of the speed concept. To me, this concept really works on social media. Bringing it over to television, to me, just didn't translate. This match, to me, was easily the worst part of the night. WWE held a tournament to determine a number 1 contender. Lainey Reed won that tournament, but then she got injured, and Jada Parker was a replacement, which to me didn't make a lot of sense since she wasn't even in the tournament. I really hated the presentation of this match with the color changes because they had green lighting and then it turned into orange lighting and then finally red lighting as the minutes kept going by. That was really annoying. This match went less than 5 minutes, so there wasn't a lot that these two could do in 5 minutes. Ruca hit a DDT for 2, Jada hit a Samoan drop. On the outside, Jada slapped Zarya, then Lash Legend came out. Zarya went for a spear on Jada, but she ended up hitting Lash. In the ring, Soul Snatcher for the win. They tried their best to deliver a solid match, and this match wasn't bad, but for a match that went less than 5 minutes and with the horrible presentation, I just wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of the speed concept to begin with, and I think it should have stayed on social media. Bringing it to television, to me, was just an awful idea. We go from the worst match of the night to the best match of the night. Jordynne Grace versus Blake Monroe in a weaponized steel cage match. I thought the story coming into this match was pretty good, and like I mentioned, to me, this was easily the best match of the night, and they told a solid story with an injury angle with Jordynne Grace. Monroe and Grace definitely used the weapons and the cage element of this match to its full potential. Grace hit a spinebuster on a steel chair for 2. Grace locked in a Boston Crab using a chair as leverage. Blake locked Grace's hand into the cage and then started attacking the hand with a kendo stick. Blake Monroe then tied Jordynne Grace's hands with a hairdryer cord, and then she brought out a pair of scissors and started cutting Jordynne Grace's hair. Grace hit a Samoan drop off the top rope for a 2 count. Grace attacked Blake Monroe with a weight belt. Blake threw a trash can lid at Jordynne Grace. Blake Monroe hit a knee against the steel cage, but it was broken up by a rope break. This, to me, is something that does not make any sense. This is a weaponized steel cage match, so no disqualification. No disqualification by default means no rope break. So why would a rope break a pinfall in a weaponized steel cage match? This doesn't make any sense, and this ruling is very inconsistent across professional wrestling. Sometimes there is a rope break in a steel cage match, other times there aren't. This is one of the most annoying and illogical things about steel cage matches. I hate this inconsistency in steel cage matches. There should be no rope break. Blake Monroe spread some diamonds across the ring. Jordynne Grace hit a Fisherman Buster on the diamonds, got a 2 count. They're brawling on the top of the cage. Blake Monroe threw powder in Grace's face, and the closing sequence, Jordynne Grace hit an air raid crash through a table for the win. Jordynne Grace defeats Blake Monroe. To me, this was easily the best match of the night. Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe delivered an excellent match. This was no question the best part of NXT No Mercy. Ethan Page versus Tavion Heights for the NXT North American Championship. I wasn't really impressed with this match. To me, this really felt like a filler match, just to occupy some time on the show. There was a moment in this match where the referee told Ethan Page, hey, give him a break. This is a wrestling match. There are no breaks. Heights locked in an ankle lock. Heights rolled up Page for 2. Ego's Edge for a 2 count. Ethan Page then locked in the Boston Crab. Ethan Page hit a power slam off the top rope, followed that up with the Twisting Grin for the win. Ethan Page retains the NXT North American Championship. Post-match, he's confronted by El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., setting up a program with the two of them. Like I mentioned, to me, this was a filler match. Not bad, but not good either. This just occupied some time on the show. JC Jane versus Lola Vice for the NXT Women's Championship. Vice became the #1 contender at Heatwave to earn this opportunity. Jane came out with the Fallon Henley. Jasmine Nix is no longer with the WWE. Going into this match, I was really expecting Lola Vice to become the NXT Women's Champion. Jane rolled up Vice for 2. Henley caused a distraction, allowing Jane to take control. Vice hit a series of kicks on Jane. Jane hit a cannonball against the steps. Henley caused another distraction. Jane hit a backstabber for 2. Vice locked in the crossface. Jane rolled over for 2. Vice hit an apron cannonball on Henley. Vice then went for a kick that completely missed. JC Jane fell too early, so that was a botch. Vice locked in a sleeper hold. Jane rolled over for 2. Vice hit a tornado DDT and then transitioned that into a headlock. Jane hit a back suplex off the second rope. Jane hit a running knee for 2. Vice rolled up Jane twice for 2. Vice hit an hurricane but then fell out of the ring. And as the referee is checking on Jane, someone wearing a black hoodie hits a running knee on Lola Vice. 9 count, Lola makes it back into the ring. And JC Jane hits the rolling encore for the win, retaining the NXT Women's Championship. I was really surprised by this. I thought for sure that Lola Vice was going to become the new NXT Women's Champion at No Mercy. So this outcome was really surprising to me. This was a very good match. To me, this was one of the best matches of the night. The storyline coming out of this has some interesting possibilities. I thought this was a pretty good match. Oba Femi versus Ricky Saints for the NXT Championship. Ricky Saints beat Josh Briggs to become the #1 contender. Very good promo package for this match. Ricky rolled up Oba for 2 early on. Oba then hit a forearm to counter a suicide dive. Oba hit 3 Uranagis and knocked Ricky outside the ring with a forearm. Ricky made it back into the ring by the 7 count. Oba caught a springboard, hit a chokeslam. Ricky rolled up Oba for 2, then hit a jumping knee old school, 3 running forearms, a running elbow, and a Samoan drop for 2. Oba countered a spear, hit a European uppercut for 2. Ricky hit a spear for 2. Ricky hit a powerbomb for 2. Oba hit a clothesline. Ricky rolled up Oba for 2. Oba hit what looked like a release deep 6. Fall from Grace countered into a DDT on the announce table. Ricky hit a tornado DDT on the floor. Oba then hit a chop, knocking down Ricky Saints. Fall from Grace, 2 count. Fall from Grace countered into a DDT, and the closing sequence, and I have to admit, I did not think this was going to be the end of the match. Ricky Saints hit a tornado DDT for the win and becomes the new NXT champion, ending Oba's reign at 263 days. This match really could have gone either way. I could have seen Oba retaining, and I could have seen Ricky winning. The ending of this match really came out of nowhere, in my opinion. I did not think that the way this match ended was going to be the end of the match. That tornado DDT really came out of nowhere. I thought this was a fine match, but it felt kind of anticlimactic. With the way Oba Femi was built up and having this be the end of his reign, I don't know, this just felt kind of disappointing, the way his reign ended. This was a fine match, this wasn't a bad match, but for Ricky beating Oba Femi to become the new NXT champion, I don't know, I was just expecting more from this match. That being said, Ricky Saints is the new NXT champion. This was bound to happen eventually because, well, one of WWE's mission statements, they want to prove that Tony Khan failed AEW talent, and what better way than to build up those talent in WWE. This was a solid match, and overall NXT No Mercy was a solid show that had a couple of pretty solid matches and one great steel cage match. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram at @Said_2000, and I will see you on the next video. Till then, take care.